They discovered 10 mysterious questions to unlock the secrets of your soul. Few knew what truly happened that night in the ancient town of Bethlehem. The air crackled with an anticipation that felt almost electric. A bright star hung in the sky, illuminating the dark, peaceful hills, casting shadows that danced on the earth. But down in the quiet streets, whispers echoed strange happenings, secret prophecies, and untouched truth lingered like a thick fog. A young girl named Mary, only a teenager, carried a weight heavier than gold. An angel had visited her, declaring that she would bear a child whose very name would echo through time, Jesus. This moment wasn't just a birth, it was an event tipped with cosmic significance. The world held its breath, wrapped in the arms of a prophecy foretold centuries before a Savior was coming. Mary felt the thrill of it, the terror, the wonder. How could she, a simple girl, hold the fate of humanity in her belly? The mind whirled, filled with questions, breaths came faster. What if she failed? What if the whispers of doubt reached too far? As the days went by, the town buzzed with curiosity. Shepherds, drawn by the angelic proclamation, spread tales among the townsfolk. The men gathered by the fires, eyes wide, speaking of encounters with celestial beings. Will they believe Mary? Or will they cast her aside, plagued by fear and doubt? The tension thickened like a storm cloud ready to burst. Nothing could prepare her for the skepticism she might face could the people she loved turn against her, but as the days melted into nights, the miracle unfolded. The child was born in the most humble surroundings, surrounded by the scent of hay and animal warmth. The world marveled. Yet, there was a silent question hanging like a shadow: what did this truly mean for humanity? As Mary cradled the fragile life against her chest, the walls of the stable seemed to echo her uncried fears. Would he change the world as envisioned? Or was this simply a fleeting moment of bewildering beauty that would vanish into the night? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The night sky shimmered above Bethlehem as the cries of the newborn broke the stillness, an echo of hope resonating across time and space. Mary, awash in joy and trepidation, gently swaddled her child. The warmth of his tiny body pressed against her, grounding her amidst the uncertain tides of destiny. The stable's rustic walls felt alive, reverberating with the potential of the child she had birthed. Yet with that warmth came an unsettling whisper: was she truly prepared to nurture the embodiment of prophecy? Her heart ached with love, but also with an unsettling premonition. The shepherds had come, their faces alight with wonder, recounting tales of angels proclaiming glory to the highest. What weighed heavier, the reverence they shared or the skepticism that simmered in hushed corners of the town? Mary caught fragments of the conversations, murmurs that dared to question, who was she? How could a virgin carry such a significant load? In the morning light that broke over the humble surroundings, a sense of peace settled in, but it was suffused with a heavy understanding of the expectations tucked within the child's very being. The world was not ready for such transformation, yet here it lay, fragile and innocent, nestled within her embrace. What would it mean for him to grow up in a world teeming with doubt, fear, and yearning? Days passed, and visitors came, drawn by the whisperings of a Savior. Wise men from the east arrived, their robes shimmering against the rustic backdrop of the manger. They brought gifts: gold, frankincense, and myrrh, each emblematic of reverence and the weight of identity that would follow. They spoke of a star that guided them, a symbol of divine favor and a beacon for a people lost in darkness. Yet underneath their reverence, Mary felt a deeper questioning. A child so precious, so promising, could he withstand the burdens of expectations he would be destined to bear? Sometimes, when the world faded into silence, Mary found herself gazing at her child as he slept. Thoughts swirled like leaves in the wind, fragmented and heavy. Who would he become? What trials would he face? The echoes of old prophecies filled her mind, swirling with the whispers of ancient seers whose messages broadcasted the arrival of hope but also spoke of pain and suffering. Amidst the unfolding wonder, her mind turned toward the words of those who foretold of the child. He will be a light to the nations, a sign that will be opposed. Would he be celebrated or cast aside? The question unspooled, entwining her spirit in a tight embrace of both love and fear. As she peered through the wooden slats of the stable, the bustle of life in Bethlehem flickered before her. The vibrant life outside felt a world away, disconnected from the quiet, transformative purpose forming in her arms. In her heart, she held on to flickers of faith yet feared the shadows of doubt that loomed just beyond her reach. As another night enveloped the town, the stars gleamed above, silent witnesses to the unfolding saga. With each passing moment, the mystery deepened. What truly lay ahead? Could love transform doubt into belief, or would faith become a fragile thread easily severed by the harshness of reality? In a world craving hope, would his destiny be a path of salvation or a journey of sacrifice? As dawn broke over Bethlehem, the golden light filtered through the cracks in the stable, illuminating the soft features of the sleeping child. Mary marveled at his perfect form, the delicate curve of his lips, the gentle rise and fall of his chest. Here was a miracle indeed, yet a profound sense of unease nested within her core. Each soft coo and fluttered heartbeat echoed her swirling thoughts. Who would this child be, and what burdens would he eventually bear? The world outside continued its rhythmic bustle, but within the walls that cradled her and her son, time felt suspended in sacred reverence. Joseph moved quietly about, his countenance marked by a blend of wonder and trepidation. He often caught Mary's eye, sharing a glance that spoke volumes of their unvoiced fears and dreams for the future. They had both been chosen for a daunting journey, one that would entwine their lives with the very fabric of fate itself. One evening, as twilight cloaked the land in a purple hue, Mary sat outside the stable, cradling her child against her breast. The quietude was interrupted by the soft shuffle of feet, and before long, an older man approached, his countenance wise, and deep lines on his face spoke of experience. He knelt before her, gazing not just at the child, but through him, as though seeking answers in the depths of his divine potential. "Tell me, mother," he began, his voice warm as honey, "do you sense the weight of the world upon him? For a child will be appointed to change the course of history. Do you know how deeply this will ripple through our lives?" Mary's heart quivered at his words. She thought of all the visited prophecies, the mystic longings that had accompanied her since she conceived. "I feel the wonder, yes. But the wisdom of nurturing such a destiny eludes me. How do I guide him when the world has shown itself to be filled with both wonder and brutality?" As the old man smiled gently, a faraway look danced in his eyes. "You do not need to know all the answers now. Each step in his journey will be revealed when the time is right for both of you. The mysteries of the heart and spirit are often etched deeply within the space of uncertainty." This cryptic reply resonated within Mary's spirit, igniting a flicker of hope within her uncertainty. Perhaps it was faith that would illuminate the path for them both, a guiding light through dark passages yet to be traveled. The man placed a calloused hand upon the child's head, whispering blessings that intertwined with the soft rustle of the night breeze. Then, as swiftly as he had arrived, he vanished into the shadows, leaving behind the weight of his words and a lingering aura of knowing. In the quiet that followed, Mary pondered the thought of destiny and choice. What role would she play in this grand narrative of life? She felt a deepening connection to the cycle of mothers everywhere, each bearing the burden of potential land nestled in their embracing arms. With tears glistening in her eyes, she realized that love came bundled with fragility, but also with the strength to withstand storms. What trials lay ahead? Would she have the fortitude to support him through moments of triumph and tears? As these thoughts swirled, she felt a starlit sky wrap around them, a cosmos filled with innumerable questions yet to be pondered. Would life unfold beautifully in tandem with divine purpose, or would they face storms that tested their faith? In seeking to answer those questions, Mary also felt the weight of an unspeakable truth, that to nurture the promise of hope meant navigating the unpredictability of tomorrow, one day at a time. What deeper mysteries awaited discovery on their shared journey? Would her unwavering love be enough to nurture the promise of a future that danced just out of reach? As the cool night deepened, the sky above flickered with the brilliance of stars, each one a shimmering testament to the promises whispered since time began. The air was ripe with prophecy, and the world beyond their stable pulsed with untamed life. Mary sat cradling her child, the weight of the world pressing lightly upon her shoulders as she marveled at the fragility and wonder of new beginnings. The following morning, the sun rose with an urgency that colored the horizon with hues of orange and gold. Mary and Joseph went about their daily tasks, nurturing the child, tending to the animals, and sharing in the wonder of their new life. But the older man's visit lingered in their minds like an uninvited guest. As they worked, they found themselves drifting into thoughts of the unknown, the child's destiny unfolding like a scroll in their hearts. Days turned into weeks, and whispers began to echo through the dusty streets of Bethlehem. The shepherds spoke of angels, proclaiming the arrival of a Savior. Merchants shared stories of strange star alignments, drawing curious travelers closer to the city. Each tale, wrapped in awe, tugged at Mary's spirit and ignited Joseph's protective instincts. How would they navigate the attention and expectations that surrounded them? One night, as they sat together under the glow of a single oil lamp, Joseph's brow furrowed with contemplation. "Mary, have you ever wondered what it would mean for him to grow up in this world? The prophecies speak of a king, yet here we are, in a humble stable, arms cradling what the heavens decree. Will he be feared or hailed? I find myself enraptured by the dreams woven into my heart," Mary replied softly. "But as they unfold, I sense a great challenge lies ahead. There's prophecy yet unfulfilled, and I fear the weight of that expectation may eclipse the beauty of his journey." As silence settled around them, Joseph suddenly recalled a story told by the elders in Nazareth. "They say there is a raging anger brewing among those who govern, heralds of wrath who fear change. What will this mean for our son? Will he be a light that draws them or a storm they cannot withstand?" Mary's breath caught at his words. Could it be possible that the very things we dream for him could also draw out the darkness? That he may not only face the challenges of man but fight against greater spiritual battles? The realization, like a pebble disrupting still water, rippled through her heart. Together, they contemplated the implications of his life, their hopes rising and falling with each reflection. Deep within, another realization unfurled: love is a paradox, nurturing with one hand, yet surrendering with the other. Could they trust the path ahead to be guided by something greater than themselves? In a moment of inspiration, Mary reached for the child, holding him close to her heart. "Perhaps our role is not only to shield him but to equip him with love and wisdom. As he grows, we must teach him to embrace both light and shadow, to seek understanding amid chaos. We must prepare him for the questions that challenge our existence." As day turned to dusk, quiet hope mingled with uncertainty. A soft knocking at the door startled them from their thoughts. A wise woman entered, carrying with her a bundle of herbs. "I have come to share blessings with your child," she said, bending to smile upon the babe. "In my heart, I feel these herbs are for healing, but there are whispers of something more in the air." Mary's heart quickened, sensing the depth of the woman's words. "What do you mean?" she asked, leaning closer. The woman paused, considering her own journey. "There are changes afoot, dear ones. The heavens speak of trials that will shape his destiny, and it is said there will be healers and seekers gathered around him. But, within every miracle lies the shadow of sacrifice. Are you ready for what must follow?" Mary looked to Joseph, who took her hand, a silent pact binding them together. "We must be ready," he whispered. And as they stood upon the threshold of the unknown, a new weight filled the air, one that harmonized with their fears and stretched into uncharted potential. Their child was not merely a promise fulfilled but an enigma veiled in mystery, poised to unlock the secrets of the human spirit. What trials lay ahead for the child, who was both destined and unknown? What sacrifices would test the strength of faith, and how would love light the shadows they were yet to face? As dawn broke anew, the sun cast its rays upon Bethlehem, illuminating the simple life that ebbed and flowed in the quiet town. Yet within the humble home of Mary and Joseph, each day was steeped in an ineffable stillness that carried the weight of the world's anticipation. The boy, cradled in Mary's gentle embrace, stirred with the knowledge of futures unseen, each breath a whisper of potential. As the sun climbed higher, the couple found themselves drawn outside, where life bustled in rhythms both wild and predictable. Villagers greeted them with curious eyes, their whispers laced with both blessing and uncertainty. "Have you seen the child?" they would ask, awe mingling with trepidation. One morning, Joseph went to the well to draw water, his mind still swirling with questions. The local merchant approached him, his voice low and conspiratorial. "Joseph, you must have a sense of what people are saying. They believe your son is touched by the divine. What will you do if the authorities come to take notice?" It's not unheard of for such things to lead to peril. The weight of concern settled heavily on Joseph's shoulders. "We must navigate these waters wisely," he replied, contemplating the implications. He returned home, where Mary was singing softly to the child, a melody imbued with both love and a hint of sorrow, as if she sensed the trials yet to come. That evening, as shadows stretched across the room, Mary felt a shift in the air, a stirring of both hope and dread. She turned to Joseph, her eyes reflecting the golden light of the lamp. "What if we were to seek the counsel of those who have come before us? The wise men from the east, the shepherds, might their insights guide us in understanding our son's journey." With determination, they decided to invite the shepherds to share their stories and experiences. As dusk folded into night, the sound of voices brightened the atmosphere. The shepherds arrived, their faces lit with the glow of a shared revelation. "Our hearts have been gripped by the vision we witnessed that night," one shepherd spoke, his voice steady. "Angels singing and the stars aligning, proclaiming a Savior. We felt compelled to follow where the light led us. But we understand this gift is not one without burdens." Mary's eyes, full of wonder, locked onto his. "What do you feel this child is destined to do? Is there wisdom in the heavenly signs that could guide him on his path?" The shepherd hesitated, looking at his companions as though seeking a deeper truth from within their hearts. Finally, he spoke, "We believe he will be a beacon to many, a healer, but also a source of division. His light will challenge the shadows that dwell in the hearts of men. Do not shy away from the truth of his calling." The weight of this prophecy shrouded the room in silence, each person reflecting on the fragile dichotomy of their hopes and fears. The shepherd continued, "In time, he shall awaken both hearts and hatred. He will draw in seekers but will also face the full weight of human frailty." Joseph clenched Mary's hand, as if anchoring their resolve against the tide of the unknown. "How can we prepare him for such a fate?" he asked, the fear of the future tinging his voice. The wise men, who had been quietly listening, exchanged knowing glances before one of them spoke. "It is said in the ancient texts that a true leader must understand compassion alongside justice. Your child must be taught to embrace both. Only then can he perceive the value of every soul, even those who may rise against him." Mary considered this deeply, a weight settling upon her heart like a veil. "Can we, as his parents, embody such a balance amidst our own fears? Could our love not only shelter him but also equip him for the profound journey that lies ahead?" The room buzzed with thoughtful murmurings as they explored the intertwining paths of faith and destiny, fraught with both potential and peril. In this gathering of hearts united by purpose, each voice contributed to the blossoming understanding that their journey would weave through light and shadow, revealing the complexity of Levito protect and yet allow freedom. As the evening drew to a close, peace settled around them, yet an unresolved tension lingered in the folds of their souls. What would be the price of this destiny? As they contemplated the implications of the night's revelations, an unspoken question curled in the corners of their minds: how would they navigate the fragile balance between safeguarding the child and preparing him for the profound trials that awaited him? As the stars twinkled in the vast expanse of night, Mary and Joseph found themselves unable to sleep. The weight of their evening discussions loomed heavy in their hearts, each word echoing the significance of their child's destiny. The flickering oil lamp cast warm shadows along the walls, creating an ambience of sanctity and contemplation. Mary watched her son, nestled peacefully in a bed of hay and cloth, feeling an overwhelming rush of motherly love and protectiveness. Yet, her heart wrestled with the knowledge that this love might someday compel them to let go. She turned to Joseph, who sat deep in thought, his gaze lost in the shadows. Do you think, Mary began tentatively, that we are prepared for the path ahead? Our hearts are already heavy with the lessons we've learned. But will they be enough for what lies beyond? Joseph, feeling her gaze upon him, replied with a slow nod, trying to anchor his own escalating fears. Every path is illuminated by the choices we make, Mary. We must hold tightly to our faith and wisdom. Yet, even the wisest can struggle to discern their way among shadows. The couple sat in silence, contemplating the words spoken earlier that evening. The shepherd's proclamation lingered, like a haunting melody they could not shake. A beacon to many, a source of division. Mary whispered, her voice barely above a hush. After a moment, Joseph spoke again. Perhaps, beyond the burden of our fears, there are questions meant to guide us through the uncertainties. Each question an opportunity for understanding what lies ahead. He paused, feeling the weight of his own thoughts. But what questions, Mary? What must we truly ask to prepare for his calling? As she pondered his words, the air around them seemed to shift, a subtle stirring as if inviting deeper reflection. What if, Mary started hesitantly, we were to ask our hearts what it means to truly love him? Not just as our son, but as the Savior people believe he is destined to be. Joseph furrowed his brow, intrigued. And if we ask love, what answers might it provide? Might it show us how to nurture without constraining? How to guide without forcing? With each fleeting thought, the couple realized the questions themselves could unravel the layers of their understanding. What about the challenges he will face? Mary asked, her voice tightening with emotion. How will we teach him to stand strong amidst adversity? To embrace compassion while wielding justice? Indeed, Joseph replied, catching her gaze with fierce conviction. Will we be able to show him the strength that comes from vulnerability? To embrace those who may oppose him, and yet remain steadfast in his truth? The realization dawned upon them that the questions they sought to explore were not merely about the child's journey, but their own as well. For in allowing him to grow, they too would need to transform. Can we truly prepare him to heal divisions? Joseph pondered aloud. Could we show him how to advocate tirelessly for the broken-hearted while remaining humble themselves? The night deepened, filled with the echoes of their silent discourse. And what of our ties to this world? Mary ventured, her voice quaking with uncertainty. Will we, as his parents, be strong enough to let him go when the time comes? Can we invite the very hearts that may reject him into our lives? As each question spiraled through the dim light of their dwelling, both Mary and Joseph felt the profound weight of responsibility settling upon their shoulders. The questions became an unending tapestry of thoughts, woven with threads of love, hope, and trepidation. Finally, Mary reached for Joseph's hand, feeling the warmth of his presence anchoring her in that moment. In seeking these answers, might we uncover a greater truth about love itself? She asked, her heart swelling with both courage and vulnerability. As the couple sat in contemplative silence, the flicker of the lamp's flame danced before them, illuminating the path of uncertainty yet to unfold. What mysteries awaited in the depths of their hearts, and how would these questions shape not only the child but the very essence of their souls? As the dawn began to break, gently spilling light into the humble dwelling, Mary and Joseph found themselves still wrapped in the cocoon of their thoughts. The flickering flame of the oil lamp cast a resilient glow, now guiding them as it heralded the birth of a new day filled with uncharted possibilities. The air was chilled with the residue of night, and the faint sounds of nature awakening enveloped the couple. They peeled themselves away from the cocoon of contemplation, and as they began facing the morning, a familiar weight pressed upon them anew. The child, both a bundle of joy and the embodiment of a greater promise, stirred in his sleep. Joseph rose first, his heart slowly settling into the rhythm of resolve. He moved quietly to the cradle of hay, kneeling beside the sleeping infant, who radiated an unearthly tranquility. "What now, little one?" He whispered, a question laced with both wonder and slight trepidation. What future awaits you, and what legacy will you forge? Mary joined him, kneeling beside her husband, captivated by the child's serene presence. We have been given so much, yet the journey is laced with uncertainties, she murmured, searching the child's tiny features for clues. How will we safeguard your heart while guiding it toward such a formidable destiny? In the quiet of the morning, the stillness not only surrounded them but somehow invited a deeper understanding, as though the universe held its breath, awaiting their next steps. The previous night's contemplations echoed in her mind, and she felt an urgency to frame new questions, drawing her focus back to love's essence. What if love is the key to understanding his path more than any answer we might seek? Her thoughts began to swirl around her questions, spiraling into a deep abyss of spiritual mysteries. If we are to lead him, then what must we embrace within ourselves? Can we confront our own weaknesses, our doubts, to reflect the strength he will need? Joseph, still captivated by the child's nascent presence, nodded thoughtfully. Indeed, to nurture him fully, we must shed our own fears, allow love to be the guiding light. But what if love means sacrifice? How much of ourselves will we have to relinquish to allow him to bloom? Mary held his hand, feeling the pulse of their fervent devotion. Does love require surrender? To give without expectation, and allow him the freedom to forge his own identity? If we truly love him, must we learn the art of letting go? The questions caused her heart to flutter, each one an echo of a deeper uncertainty. And what if, in our yearning to guide him, we inadvertently cast our shadows upon his light? How do we differentiate our aspirations for him from the divine purpose woven into his very being? Joseph's brow furrowed as he wrestled with her reflections. Could it be that amidst our desires, the profound truth lies within the acceptance that he will surprise us? What if he will walk paths we cannot predict? Can we embrace the unexpected as part of his journey? The weight of their reflections wrapped them in silence once more, each heartbeat resonating with the gravity of what they were stepping into. Outside, the world stirred further awake, the calls of morning heralded a new beginning. In the midst of this vast expanse of uncertainty, Mary ventured, what if the truest answer lies not in knowing his path but in nurturing the faith that he will find it? Can we hold space for his growth while remaining grounded in our unshakable love? Joseph stood, his spirit lifted by the profundity of their discourse. Might we also discover through vulnerability our own healing? As we seek answers for him, can we also find ourselves in those questions? How will we teach him, if we don't cultivate the lessons within our hearts? The sun rose further, illuminating their faces and casting a warm glow across their dwelling. They realized that the mysteries of love and guidance were intertwined with the sacred journey they had embarked upon, echoing through their lives with every question sparked. As they stood together, hand in hand, enveloped in the warmth of illumination, a new realization emerged, a cycle of questions and reflections that spanned far beyond their own understanding. What answers would arise from the depths of their souls if they surrendered themselves to the mysteries of love, faith, and vulnerability? How would these revelations prepare them not only for the challenges ahead but for the experience of unconditional love itself? As the sun cast its golden rays through the modest window, illuminating the gentle features of the sleeping infant, a renewed sense of duty surged within Mary and Joseph. They were not just caretakers of a child but guardians of a divine mystery. The child they held was destined for greatness, and the magnitude of this reality weighed heavily on their hearts. The tranquility of the moment was suddenly interrupted by a soft knock at the door. It was a sound they had anticipated yet wished to delay. Visitors had come to pay their respects. They exchanged a glance, both apprehensive and curious about what this interaction might reveal. Mary rose and opened the door to find a group of humble shepherds, their faces marked by the weariness of long travel yet illuminated with radiant hope. "We have come to see the child," one of the men spoke, his voice trembling with reverence. "An angel appeared to us last night, proclaiming the good news of his birth." Joseph stepped forward, instinctively protective. "How did you know to find us?" he asked, both astonished and drawn into their fervid belief. The eldest shepherd flashed a knowing smile, his weathered hands clasping a small ram's horn. "We were given a sign, my friend. The angels told us that we would find a baby wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger. We couldn't tarry, our hearts urged us to follow. Mary stepped aside, beckoning them to enter. The shepherds filed in, eyes wide with wonder as they caught their first glimpse of the child. There, in the simple cradle, lay the promise fulfilled, the essence of hope encapsulated in purity. They knelt in unison, overwhelmed by a profound sense of holiness. "We have come to offer our humble gifts," another shepherd said, producing a small sack of grain. "It is not much, but it is given with love." In this simple act of devotion, Mary felt the swell of connectedness. Here were common men, drawn by the extraordinary, offering what little they possessed in tribute to a future they could barely comprehend. "Your love is a beautiful gift," she whispered, "and the essence of the heart speaks louder than riches." As the shepherds shared stories of angels' proclamations and distant stars, Mary and Joseph listened intently, their own anxieties melting under the warmth of shared experience. Yet, amid this unfolding joy, questions simmered just beneath the surface. Would their son's identity always be interpreted through the lens of such unlikely visitors? Would he walk the earth among the common and the exalted alike? And how could such humble offerings hold significance in a world that yearned for grandeur? Joseph, still contemplating the meaning of this blessing, posed quietly to Mary, "In nurturing a child so extraordinary, will we lose touch with the simplicity that brings people together? How do we honor the profound without forgetting the grace of everyday life?" Mary's gaze lingered on the shepherds' faces, their devotion palpable. Perhaps the true essence of this journey lies in the marriage of both, a divine calling alongside earthly connection. It is not only in greatness that we discover purpose, but in every moment of shared humanity. Could we be instruments of connection, allowing both the divine and the ordinary to intertwine? As the shepherds shared laughter and stories, the atmosphere thickened with a sense of purpose. They felt an inexplicable bond form, a realization that their little family was now intricately woven into the fabric of humanity. Each exchange between them held the potential for growth, yet the profound mysteries loomed larger than they could grasp. The sun continued its steady climb, casting an inviting warmth into the room, yet doubts and wonderings lingered. What truth awaited them in the intertwining of ordinary lives and extraordinary destinies? How could the most extraordinary message of life be grounded in the humble simplicity of their shared experiences, and what does this mean for the kind of guidance they must offer their child? As the evening descended, shadows danced across the walls of the small dwelling, wrapping the scene in warmth and mystery. The shepherds continued to recount their stories, their voices resonating with a deep, magical aura. The soft glow of the oil lamp flickered gently, mirroring the emotions swirling in Mary and Joseph's hearts. Yet, even amid the laughter and rejoicing, an unexplainable tension lingered in the air, like a secret yearning to be unveiled. Joseph felt the weight of the night pressing against his brow, an ache that whispered of the overwhelming responsibility now placed upon him. These men, he thought, represent a world that seems distant yet close, a voice of the humble speaking towards the divine. He glanced at Mary, whose expression reflected both joy and an undercurrent of concern. "My love," he murmured, leaning slightly closer, "do you believe it is wise for us to harbor such visitors in this sacred moment? Will their tales sow seeds of confusion instead of clarity? Should we instead build walls around our son to protect him from expectation and misunderstanding?" Mary sighed softly, her gaze falling upon the tiny figure in the manger, the embodiment of promise. "Joseph, do we not see how they illuminate our path rather than obscure it? The simplicity of their devotion may hold profound lessons for us. This child is to bridge the gap between heaven and earth, and perhaps we need to embrace both realms, the celestial and the earthly." The eldest shepherd, hearing the murmurs exchanged between the couple, leaned forward, eyes reflecting the luminescence of the flame. "You feel the weight of purpose upon you, I see this," he said gently. "But remember, the world outside is filled with voices competing for attention. The journey ahead will not be straightforward, it will require guidance formed through our shared experiences." As the words echoed in the small space, the atmosphere thickened with an acute awareness of the enormity of their mission. Each shepherd had come bearing not just gifts, but pieces of their own lives, stories laden with sorrow, joy, and the hum of daily struggles. What could they teach Mary and Joseph about molding the identity of a child destined for salvation? We often find ourselves at the crossroads of life, where choices need clarity. One of the younger shepherds chimed in, sincerity in his tone. He may not manifest his greatness in appearances, but in the heartbeat of the people, in every act of love and kindness. It's in those fleeting moments of connection that his true essence will be revealed. The words rang true in Mary's heart, and she considered the unfathomable nature of their little one held within the confines of a starry night, wrapped in swaddling clothes but destined to challenge the very foundations of their understanding. What if it were through the simplicity of unassuming lives, like those of the shepherds, that the divine intention unfolded? Meanwhile, Joseph pondered the fragile balance of their circumstances. How will he come to navigate the expectations of the world, the voices that will bind him or set him free? What if he embraces the ordinary, and is this not a true reflection of the extraordinary? A profound silence enveloped them, each pondering the implications of his whispered thoughts. Shadows flickered, casting silhouettes that danced like spirits in the warmth of the lamp. They sat surrounded by a circle of mingled hope and trepidation, as if the very air held the weight of unresolved questions. Will our faith withstand the trials to come? Can we remain faithful to our calling while entrusted with a life that holds the power to change history? Mary finally voiced, her breath catching in her heart. The shepherds exchanged glances, sensing the depth of her inquiry, but none could provide a definitive answer. Instead, they offered a quiet strength, grounded in the everyday realities of their lives. As the night deepened, enveloping them in an embrace of starlit wonder, Mary and Joseph were left to ponder amidst the gathering darkness. What must they learn from the intertwining of the mundane and the magnificent? How could they navigate the inevitable tensions that would come with their precious child's purpose? And in the grand design of the cosmos, where did their own narratives intersect with that of the divine child? As dawn broke over the humble town of Bethlehem, rays of golden light spilled through the cracks of the stable, bringing with them a fresh sense of promise. The world outside was awakening, and within its embrace lay the extraordinary truth that had unfolded. Their child was destined to ignite hearts and challenge the very fabric of existence. Mary and Joseph rose, their hearts entwined in sacred commitment to nurture the child whose essence shimmered with the weight of prophecy. That day, visitors continued to come, with each bringing stories steeped in awe and a tapestry of beliefs that enveloped their lives. Wise men, peasants, and humble artisans shared their experiences of the celestial star, captivated by the notion that a Savior had been born. With every whispered tale, the fragile atmosphere in the stable thickened with tense Iona dance between the divine and the everyday, a poignant reminder that incredible change often arose from the most ordinary of foundations. Mary, nursing her child under the watchful eyes of Joseph and their gathered visitors, felt a swell of emotions flood her heart. Each story unlocked fragments of wisdom that echoed deep within her, lessons about compassion, sacrifice, and the paradox of love that transcends fear. The child in her arms represented not merely a simplistic hope, but a profound transformation set against the backdrop of a tumultuous world. As the sun reached its apex, bathing the earth in warmth, a gentle quiet settled upon them, a sacred pause, ripe with expectation. In that stillness, Mary closed her eyes, surrendering to the moment, and a thought unfurled within her mind, a question so profound it seemed to pulse with divine energy. What if, to truly understand the scope of her son's destiny, she and Joseph needed to embrace not just love, but also the unknown that lay ahead? With newfound clarity, she turned to Joseph. Beloved, what if we found clarity in the acceptance of uncertainty? Our lives, molded by the triumphs and tribulations of parenthood, hold the power to teach our son how to navigate both light and shadow. Together, we could guide him, not by shielding him from the world, but by empowering him to embrace it. Joseph's eyes sparkled as pride washed over him. He understood the truth in her words. Yet, dear Mary, while we must encourage his spirit, how do we prepare him for the heavy burdens this world has placed upon those who seek to illuminate the dark places? Will there be a moment when we have to let go? His voice trembled, reflecting the love and fear that danced within him. In response, Mary held the child with a tenderness that bridged their hearts. Love is not just about holding tight, it is also about letting go. We found in the simplest of moments that the truth of existence weaves between the joys and the trials. Perhaps it is through allowing him to encounter challenges that he will discover the strengths within him. At that moment, the door of the stable opened, and a hush fell over the room as a figure stepped inside, a man clothed in the rags of a beggar yet with eyes that twinkled like stars. He approached slowly, kneeling before Mary and the child, reverence emanating from his very presence. "That I have traveled far to see the child," he said softly, "not just to seek blessings for myself but to understand the deeper truth his birth carries." Mary felt a pull in her heart. His voice carried a wisdom that resonated like an ancient echo. "What is it do you seek, kind stranger?" she asked, the weight of prophecy wrapping around her. With sadness etched into his brow, the man responded, "In a world tangled by doubt and fear, people ache for hope. I seek understanding about how this child will bring about such change." Silence enveloped them, and Mary's heart swelled with the intensity of the moment. She reached out her hand, inviting him closer. Hope is often birthed from the ashes of despair. As parents, we must learn to let our child stand amidst the complexities of the world, to embrace vulnerability as strength, and love as the greatest form of rebellion. He will remind us of our connections as human beings, and through our faith, he shall awaken hearts. Tears glistened in the man's eyes as he absorbed her words. In sharing such truths, the child may teach the world how to bridge divides. To love openly while acknowledging pain can ignite a spiritual awakening where ministry is cultivated within every heart who chooses it. Mary gazed at him, feeling the divine spark of understanding ignite a flame within her spirit. Yes, and though the path will not be easy, our unwavering love and faith are crucial. We cannot protect him from the storms that may come, but we can instill in him the tools to face them, the spirit to rise again. As if the heavens themselves sang in approval, an ethereal light enveloped the room, illuminating their gathering in a divine glow. Each person present felt their hearts expand, as movement began to stir. A melding of hope, faith, and love surrounded the child resting in Mary's arms. With reverence, the beggar rose, bringing forth stories of his own struggles, the pain he witnessed in those around him. He asked them, "Will love be enough to conquer the world's fears? Can your hope withstand the trials that seek to extinguish it?" In this moment, Mary and Joseph understood that love was not merely a guarded emotion but an active choice, a thread woven into every heartbeat, poised to transcend beyond the bounds of their little family. "We choose to nurture every truth that comes, to embrace the unknown ahead," Mary replied, voice emboldened by clarity. "As we teach him to show compassion, strength, and wisdom, we too shall heal our own hearts." As the man left, a renewed peace enveloped the stable, and those gathered felt the depth of their shared commitment flickering with possibility. Each person present intermingled their hopes and fears, planting seeds of faith through every whispered blessing. Days turned into weeks. Each dawn marked the cradling of precious moments, a mixture of laughter, joy, and life's simple blessings, while they further opened their hearts to the child's radiant promise. Over time, each visitor brought additional insights that adorned their lives like stars gathering in the sky, reminders that as they raised their son, they, too, were transformed. One fateful night, Mary found herself gazing up at the heavenly bodies, lost in reverie. The child was growing, and questions danced in her mind once more. Would he become the beacon of light foretold, and how would his spirit thrive in a world that could be both magic and suffering? As if in response, the heavens expanded above her, endless and ever hungry for understanding. From the depths of her being, a prayer rose. All she wanted was for her child to navigate his purpose with resilience while embracing love's profound greatness. At that moment, a sudden realization washed over her. Every question, every moment of doubt and trepidation, was merely a portal into profound transformation. She turned to Joseph, who had been silently watching, aware of her contemplative state. "Perhaps," she said softly, "the greatest revelation is not to seek answers but cherish the essence of each question as a tool sculpting our very existence. Our child will not bear just a single destiny but rather the currents of humanity within him. Every answer we find will lead to understanding, but every question will illuminate the pathway for others." Their hearts synchronized, a melody of hope weaving through the air. A profound awakening had dawned that night. The child would teach the world how to navigate the depths of shadows while emerging unscathed, shining like the stars above. Thus, the legacy began, echoed through time, igniting the embers of faith within every heart willing to embrace the light intertwined within love, connection, and vulnerability. For in asking and daring to believe, they revealed that every secret of the soul also lay hidden in love's quiet yet powerful embrace, a revelation destined to change not just one life but the world itself.